Hello everyone, welcome back to Bare Basic Tech. Today I'm going to be going over while loops with you today. So while loops allow a programmer to continuously go over a series of commands that you write based on a certain conditional statement. And as long as that statement is being met with a true value, those statements in the while loop will continue to be run. So the syntax for a while loop starts with the while keyword, followed by a Boolean expression of your choice, and lastly, you need to make sure that you have the colon on the end of it. So here's a basic example. So we have a variable x set to 1, and then we have a while statement written here. So again, we have the word while, and then we have our Boolean condition, which is x being equal to 1, and then your colon. Now, just notice here quickly when I'm talking about a conditional statement, if you use 1 equals, this will not work. This is basically telling Python I want to assign x to be equal to 1, but when you use the 2 equal signs, that's telling Python I want to test to see if x equals 1. So just remember that. That's a common error that you'll see come up, is that you're missing the double equal sign. So anyway, as you're looking at this loop, you'll see we have x needs to be equal to 1 for this loop to be run. So what it's going to do is it's going to print x, it's going to add 1 to x, and then it's going to print x again. And it's going to continue to do that until this statement is not true. So let's see what happens. So when we run it, you'll see the first time it prints, it shows 1. It'll add 1, print it again, where it shows 2, and then the statement stops, right? Because this condition is no longer true. So moving on, here's a similar example where now we say, okay, well now I want to do this where as long as x is less than 5, let's keep running this. So let's see what happens here. So you'll see when it runs, it'll start by printing off 1, it'll add 1, and then you get 2. And because 2 is less than 5, it'll run the loop again. So it'll then go on where it prints 2 again, it'll add 1, and then print out 3. 3 is still less than 5, so it'll go on again and do the same thing. Starts off as 3, add 1, you get 4. 4 is less than 5, it'll run it one more time because 4 is still less than 5. Prints out 4, adds 1, gives you 5, comes back up here and sees, x is now not less than 5, it is equal to 5. So this statement is now no longer true and it will stop running. So this is similar in essence to how a for loop would run, in the sense that it's almost like it's iterating through a series of values, but in this case it's running the loop based on a condition being met, not a series of values. So moving on to the use of break statements. So this is something you can use if you want to basically cut the while loop short for whatever reason. You can do that. So in this case, we have a similar example where we start off with x being equal to 1, and we're making the statement, while x is less than 8, print out x, and then add 1 to x, and then see if x equals 5, and if it is, we're going to break the while loop. So this is what happens. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, but it doesn't keep going, right? And this is because of this break statement. So you'll notice here, basically it'll go through the while loop multiple times, right, to where it gets to 4. And now while it's on 4, it'll add 1, giving it a value of 5. It sees here, x is now 5, and it will break as a result, meaning that the while loop will be cut short. So that's all that is. Just understand that the break statement is used if, for whatever reason, you want a specific exception to this while loop that will break it out. So the last thing I want to cover with you guys is just be careful when you're using while loops, only because if you set the condition here to be something that is always true for some reason, it will just never end and it'll run on what's called an infinite loop. So let me show you what I mean. So you hit play with this code here, and it starts doing this, where it's never going to end. So you got to cut the program. So why is this happening? So this is because you set x equal to 1, and then you're telling it, okay, while x equals 1, run this loop, where all that's happening is y is now being set to x plus 1, and then it'll show you y versus x. However, what we failed to do was make sure x changes to something that will make this condition eventually not true. So if we were to change this to be x plus equals 1, so it'll add 1 to the value of x, this loop will end now because you'll see that x will become 2, and therefore this statement will become false after one iteration. So let's try running it. So now see how this time it didn't just continuously go on an infinite loop. That's because, again, x became 2. So again, if you want, you can play around with this. You can make this like 9 or something, and basically all the script does is it just continuously keeps y to be 1 higher than x. So that's essentially it. But yeah, thank you for watching today's video, and please feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you.